So chapter 4 is passions. They mentioned that the American dream will not make you happy, and that's on page 73. As we're in the UK, is there a UK equivalent, and is it a good sentiment to aspire to?
I'll tell you this, all right? You see this American dream nonsense, all right? That's by and large, in some case, what it is. Because I think if you're to, and I want to get this right in the way I articulate it, because I don't want to use this crab in a barrel effect kind of thing, but there's many people, and I'm going to say, let's call them immigrants, who have this, they go to the States chasing this American dream. And then one person will emerge from the parapet, let's say, and will be very successful. And that person is the epitome of the American dream. And then there's millions, and I'm going to say millions of people who are still chasing that American dream who don't actually achieve what is the American dream. And they end up being actually searching for a meaningful life. They end up chasing and chasing. I don't want to say a dream, but they're chasing something which doesn't have any meaning. And then some people who actually do achieve the American dream actually end up, standing on their, let's say their achievement, and they start looking around thinking, what is this? And then they start going looking in search of what is a meaningful life. I mean, let's look at these two individuals, for example. They had achieved, I don't want to say the American dream, but they were very successful and earned a lot of money, and decided to scrap a lot of what they were doing, sell or get rid of a lot of their belongings, and then just disappear. And what a load of rubbish.
What's that, miss?
And the UK dream, Pox?
The UK dream. What is that? No, I don't. I don't know.
But you rambled on about them.
I drew comparison with the American dream because obviously, French drew good comparison as to there being an American dream. Is there a UK equivalent? So I spoke on the American dream. I don't know what the UK dream is, but this is what I would say. I know a lot of people at this moment in time in the UK were beginning to develop a lot of traits and characteristics of those of the US. Some of it is good, like in all things, and some of it is bad. I think the American dream is quite materialistic. That's not an ideal that I share.
Do you know what? You raised a good question, French. You know why? Because even though it might seem, as you just said, P, that the American dream is like, it's just BS. It's just a washover. It's just a mask to cover up America's wrongdoings and America's kind of almost like you haven't actually got a chance here. Like, at least there's something that can trick the mind into striving towards greatness, if that makes sense. Or there is a dream that it can happen. I've never heard of something similar in the UK or UK dream. How do you know when you achieve something in the UK? Is it by form of MBE, OBE? What is almost the achievement of a UK dream? And that's a good point, because if you're a 4-year-old child, a 3-year-old child, and even though your parents might not believe in it, it's just like Santa Claus, because your parents might believe in it, but they're doing it for you. Like the American dream, you can be what you want, you can achieve what you want. It kind of gives someone a strive, a kind of a desire, like to try and get to somewhere which might not exist, but at least it's giving them a drive and desire. And they drummed it in. They're really passionate believers as well. They drum it in early. In the UK, I don't remember being in school saying the UK dream, and it was. I don't recall. I might have not been around the right people, the right institutes, but I don't recall that. So I don't know if there's an equivalent. I can't think of an equivalent. I'm trying to think of young black people that have been given recognition in this country. You're kind of Jamal Edwards got OBE, MBE.
One of the two.
Yeah. Your Lenny Henry's a comedian. I'm trying to think. At what point did they achieve the equivalent of the US dream and it was recognized? Is it when you achieve one of these things where you're given one of these MB? I don't know, innit? I actually don't know.
Sorry, I don't want, you know I can ramble a little bit on these type of subjects. I mean, let's just look at the US at this moment in time. And obviously I know there's a few things going on which are unsavory in regards to unjust and things of that nature. But that is in part of the American dream. You're sold a dream. It's I don't want to call it a marketing tool, but that's what it is. It's a marketing tool as to why you should come to the US and work hard and potentially become successful. What people have found is actually we've had enough. We've had enough, and then people have taken action. I know it's on the basis of something else, but by and large, people have had enough. And then you've got Obama who's come into power, and then you've got let's say the top 1%, all right, or let's say middle America or whatever you want to call it. I've said we've had enough of this nonsense for 8 years, all right. They brought in someone else who's, let's say, Trump, to restore, I don't know, what say is almost power, and restore power, because dare I say the American dream in terms of people being successful and having opportunity was potentially coming to fruition, whereas I don't even know if I believe it's even true. The American dream, what is that crap?
Well, I guess referring to going back to what you were saying, Mace, about on the UK side of things and the MBEs and the OBEs, I think that is an achievement that some people may deem as good, some people may deem as bad, but I don't think it's a dream. I don't think those things are dreams, because with the American dream, it tends to come with a number of things. So that's money, power, and respect. Whereas when you get an OBE or an MBE, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have all three. You may get, you may have some form of money, but it doesn't mean you necessarily have the power. You may get some kind of respect within your respective fields, but that doesn't necessarily even mean that you're going to have the money equivalent. So I wouldn't put that down and state that's a dream. I don't think there is a UK dream in the same essence as the American dream. And I think, P, you've kind of labelled the point as being bullshit, which to a degree I definitely understand and agree with. But I think because we're in a society where a lot of it is based on social status and social class, like we've come up in a class system. So if you do come out from the hood or from a working class background and you can make it into the middle class background, that's an achievement in itself. That's the dream. So if you come from, for example, you come from a council estate, and you're then, as you grow up, you're able to then afford a lifestyle where you can have a family and live in a house with a garden. That essentially is the dream, to be able to, that is it. That's the UK equivalent, I would say. Whereas the American dream is a bit more, it's got a bit more prettiness to it. It's got like a gold bow where you've got the white picket fence and you've got 2.2 kids, and do you know what I mean? You've got 2 cars in a 2 garage drive, and do you know what I mean? They probably put a bit more emphasis on it, and it's drilled into them so much. And as P, you rightly said, it's their propaganda to the world for people to come over and almost the streets are paved with gold. So come over to America and you too can make it. You too can make the American dream. Once you get to America and you've got that American passport or the green card or whatever it is, you're considered American, so you can have your own slice of the American dream. Whereas in the UK, it's a bit more upper lipped and it's a bit more stay within your own realm, stay within your working class background, stay within your middle class background, or stay within your upper class background. And if you can get out of it, or if you can aspire to raise up a level, good for you. But we're not necessarily going to celebrate it. It's just for you and yourself to make that choice, whether you want to let people know about it or just live your life and do your thing. It's not really as widely publicized and widely congratulated when you do have some form of achievement of getting out from the position you may have started in.
I think you make some very, very good points. Just last thing on that. I think to move from one class system into another, or even just say it's poor, middle, and higher, I think to move through the three is very, very, very difficult. In particular, if you've come from, let's say, a first-generation family, let's say like myself, right? Because my parents came here, I was born here. Very difficult to move from one to another or into the top one. Very difficult. I don't want to say inso, but let's say that dream is sold. And even within that, there are so many different factors in terms of people actually making it difficult for you to actually enter into that second one, or even to enter into that top one. And within that, as to some of the dreams, I think some of the dreams were actually going to university, actually, or certainly one of them to begin with. And I think in going to university, which is fantastic, and educating yourself, which a lot of people don't understand, comes a lot of debt. And if depending on what generation of family you came from, to actually get yourself out of that debt, as well as then maintain your lifestyle, improve your lifestyle, and then take it up a notch, is extremely difficult. So that,
yeah, I mean, touching base on university and things of that nature, career progression. They mention that on page 73, they say careers are dangerous because people invest so much of themselves into their careers that they establish an identity and a social status based upon their job title. Do you agree or disagree, and why?
Yeah. Even in the book, even in the book, and we've had this discussion. They even goes back to the age of question when you meet someone and you're like, "What do you do?" And I've said I hate that question, and they put it in a good way. Actually said rather than saying that, just ask someone what are you passionate about. Because what you do and what you're passionate about are two separate things. There's a lot of people that do stuff that actually ain't passionate about that. They're passionate about something completely different. And when you ask them what you do, straight away you're trying to envision in your head, all right, are they financially successful? Do they have longevity in their career? Are they someone of power? That's what you're thinking in your head. Because someone told you they're a dustbin cleaner, straight away you're not going to be thinking in your head, yeah, this is the man of my dreams. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of right about the arguments of career. And also, if you're in a career which is actually, you might hate the job, but in terms of your lifestyle, and in terms of making sure your family okay, you have a nice house and a garden and a car and that, it's helping you, which is what these guys had. It's very difficult because they talk about upheaval and just saying, do not scrap all that. It's easier said than done to just scrap all of that, especially if you've got a family to look after, mortgage to pay, and all the rest of it. That's why they're right. If you're deep entrenched into a career or a career path, and then actually you've had enough and you want to live this minimalistic life, it's all good saying that, but it's not as easy as that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't agree any more with what Mason said, really. I mean, it's funny because we've had this conversation before, and I remember I was talking with someone as to this same topic, and what we said was essentially that why is the first question when you meet someone is what do you do? Why can't it be what you're passionate about? And then it was funny, we had this conversation, and then the last thing we said to each other was bye, and it was like she was going to study a master's in Amsterdam. And I said goodbye and good luck with what you're doing in Amsterdam. She was like, goodbye and good luck with whatever it is you do. And then we kind of laughed and went in two different directions, which I kind of found funny, really, because we had a long conversation and a good conversation about any and anything, but there wasn't an attachment as to what I do rather than what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, again, without making it sound boring, but I echo and second everything that you guys have both said. I do agree with that statement, and yeah, I don't even want to keep reiterating what you both said because you both make valid good points. But it does draw on to the next question where we speak, as you mentioned, about passion, and you mentioned it slightly, and I'll read the excerpt what you're talking about, Mace, where it talks about what passions are. And when presented with this question, and the question being, what do you do? The two of us tend to answer with another question such as, that's a rather expansive question, what do you mean by it? Or that's a rather expansive question, perhaps we could discuss it over a cup of tea. And another way to answer this question is by stating what you're passionate about instead of spouting off what your vocation is. And yeah, going on further, it says passion fuels more passion. I wanted to ask, has your passion or passions changed over the time, and what have they been?
My passions have changed over time, and by and large, I mean, some of them have remained the same, but as I've grown as a person, I've discovered that I like other things, so such as maybe being creative. So when I went traveling, I loved going to museums and things of that nature. So I've got a love for, I didn't know what it was or what type of art, but I got a love for contemporary art. I got a love for different types of art, if I'm honest, in that sometimes they explain a timepiece or a time period. And I just enjoy acquiring knowledge and information. So yeah, I enjoy being creative. So there's other things that I have gone on to enjoy and be passionate about.
Nice.
I'll be honest, like I need to rediscover some passion. I feel like I was a lot more passionate about things when I was younger, and that's kind of drifted apart. So maybe there's things I was passionate about before that I'm not passionate about now, but I haven't discovered new passions. Yeah, that's all I've got to say on it, really.
Cool. My passions have changed a bit slightly. I used to be passionate about football. Like, I used to love football. I used to eat, sleep, drink, shit football. But now I'm farthest, like, you wouldn't catch me watching a football match, not because I think there's anything wrong with it. It's just, I'm just not passionate about it no more. I don't really give it as much airtime as I once would. So that's definitely something that I've probably changed. I've always had a passion for reading, maybe not as intensely as it is now, but from young, I've always liked to read. I've just enjoyed reading pretty much anything and everything. So that's one passion that's changed and one passion that has remained. So yeah.
Can I ask you why those passions? I mean, with Mason, I don't know if he wants to expand a bit. He said he's kind of lost passion, or maybe, let's say, well, I don't want to say he's lost his way, but I think you understand what I'm saying. But in regards to yours in football, why has your passion changed from football? What happened that changed that passion?
I was on the road to wanting to be a professional footballer, and it got to a point, and I think, like, looking back on it in hindsight, I probably stopped it a lot earlier than what I should have. And yeah, it was a case of, I felt, all right, well, if I haven't made it at this point, what's the point, kind of thing. And I started slowly backing away from it, more engaged in it. I used to play it a lot, but as I stopped playing it, I also sort of stopped watching it as much as I used to as well. So that's what caused it. It was the case of me wanting to be a professional footballer. It was my dream. It was my life to an extent. And when I felt that dream wasn't going to be made, then I kind of backed away from it and started looking at other things to put my energy and time into.
Okay.
It's a bit of an abstract question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It wasn't really a main question I had because of the book, but just because we're talking about passions, I thought it could be a good question to see where it goes. But I'm going to pose a question to you, it being, who are you?
So I can answer. I don't know if Mason, you're going to go first.
You take the.
I know. So I don't know if I can articulate it very well, but I'm very, very clear with who I am. I don't know. Do you want to ask me? I don't know. Maybe a sub question as to that, so I can maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't know where to start.
I just want that was purely it. That's why I said it's a bit of an abstract question, because there's no.
This is what I would say. Hopefully, I continue to it. I think a lot of people actually don't know who they really don't know who they are. Whereas I'm very aware of who I am because of a lot of my traveling, a lot of my experiences. So I know exactly who I am. I'll say I'm an individual who's very passionate about. I'm very passionate about a few things. I'm very passionate about people, and I believe those things partly encompass who I am. I don't want to actually give off any more information, and the reason why I say it because I think it's important to keep some things close to my chest, actually. But yeah, I care about the wider community, and I'm very passionate about a few things, to which are my vocations.
Thanks.
Sorry, just went to discover who I was. No, I don't know. That's a very hard question because I'm probably different. I'm probably a different person to different people.
Yeah, I understand that.
How do I describe
Mars?
Rich, I want you to answer that first.
Cool. I'm a person that is always evolving, to be fair. Like, similar to yourself, I am a different person to different people, but essentially, I'm someone that I like to enjoy life. I like to learn. I'm a student of life. That's who I am. I'm a student of life.
How do I describe who I am?
Sorry, is that a very simple answer? That's not me being cheeky. I'm just.
No, it is a simple answer because I don't think. Again, it's a bit of an esoteric question and an expansive question. Like, that's why you asked me, is there any sub-questions to it? But I think if I was to really think about it, who I am is changing every day. So who I am today, I may be someone else tomorrow. And I don't mean literally in the sense of I'm going to be a whole different person, but the same way we go into each day and look to have a 1% improvement in different factors or aspects of our life. Tomorrow, I can say one thing today as we're recording, then tomorrow I may feel slightly different about the person I am. So that's why I say I'm a student of life. I'm always looking to learn and experience new things. I can tell you what I enjoy doing. I can tell you I'm passionate about, but does those things make me who I am? I don't think they do per se. So that's why it is a simple answer.
Yeah, it's hard for me to give a direct answer, if I'm honest, about who I am.
That's cool. I just wanted to put it out there. Like, just answer it how you feel, bro.
Do you know who you are?
Sorry?
Did I stutter? No, I'm joking. Do you know? Do you know who you are?
I'm not that bracket where you spoke about, P, where people don't know who they like. Maybe I'm still trying to find that, to pinpoint exact and precise words as to who I am.
Okay.
I don't want to give something here that, and then half an hour later think about it, think, nah, like actually I'm wrong about that, or actually why not say this?
What's wrong with that? That's my point. But that was my point when I was saying you may think of something now, tomorrow or half an hour later, you may think, well, I've changed now, just because I say I'm now a different person. So I don't think who you are is a static notion.
Yeah.
No, I think you could. I mean, they use words such as continuum in this book maybe a few times, and I think we all have a core as to who we are, and I think we grow. So, like, not my question. I mean, I could have asked 1 or 2 more questions, but I didn't necessarily want to probe. So, my question could be, for example, so Mason, you're going out after this conversation. So, like, I know you'll have a good time today, etc., etc. And part of what you're going to do today makes up who you are. So you're a social being. So
not necessarily, because if you go back to what was the acronym? TARA.
Yep.
It's all about
Tolerance, acceptance.
Yeah, I know that, but like, you've got to take into account that you're not one person when you're in a relationship. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's all about the fact that I'm doing something today, which I might benefit from, but at the same time, it's because I want people around me to be happy as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's a very good point, because I know we've had conversations as to I forget what it was. It was on another podcast as to we're giving opinions on ourselves, and I think you were saying that by and large, Mason's an individual who is very supportive of other individuals and their endeavors more so than his own endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't what I was actually leading to, but that is the type of person Mason is, and that's what I was referencing as to him being a social being, and that may be forming part of the construct of who he is.
Yeah, but again, going back to the point made about us having, like, people having different perspectives of who we are. So your perspective of Mace is what you've just described, where his mum or work colleague or someone else in his life may describe it as him as being something different. Does that make sense?
It does, but I think you 100% makes sense. I think my point being was, I think at the core, I think we have like a foundation which makes up who we are. But I understand exactly what you're telling me, because you're saying at work you could be one individual, but among friends you could be another.
Yeah, I guess just to move on, because we don't want to stay on that too long. In regards to identity, when you're trapped in this kind of identity, it's hard to realize you are not your job, you are not your staff, and you are not your debt. You are not your paycheck, you are much more. And that's on page 79. Do you think labels such as mentor, leader, contributor, or minimalist is more meaningful than director or manager?
It depends on who's looking at it from whose perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. Is the short answer, and probably the only answer I'm going to give. Like, if I'm I'm a young aspiring actor and I have a mentor who has starred in a long-running BBC series, for instance, that mentor is more important to me than the director of the BBC. I couldn't give a shit about the director of the BBC. It's that mentor that's teaching me and gonna help to shape me to become a great actor if that's my passion or field. That's the only thing I can think of at the time, but I honestly think it depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand the question to begin with, but I think I understand based on what Mason said. I fully agree.
I think the question that it's almost also there's like these titles which maybe in the wider society, if you compared those 3 or 4 titles that French mentioned against the 2 director, like chief exec or whatever, if you compare them in society, most people would be like, wow, direct chief exec, it must mean this certain salary, this certain command, this certain influence. But actually, if you're depending on who you are, you might but you might the importance of a mentor is much more important than becoming a director or striving to be a director, if that's making sense. They can't really influence you, whereas a mentor can, and they could really help you in your life.
No, you said it very well.
Yeah, no, perfect. Like, greatly executed, I'd say, on that. In regards to the labels being more meaningful, this is where my gripe is with labels, because rightly so, as May said, you can, like, to use your same example, you can have a label of being a director or manager, but get more knowledge and more out of speaking to a mentor or a life coach, so to speak. And similar to, as we've already seen in this whole COVID-19, the labels that we give and the credence that comes with these certain labels doesn't mean shit, because we've got like multi-millionaires, and I don't want to shit on footballers because it's not their fault per se, but like just because it's the most easiest thing to zoom into. But you've got like footballers pay millions of pounds, you've got rappers, you've got entertainers, whether it's TV stars or actors and stuff, and they're always celebrated in this social construct of ours, and they're always been made to be given the light whenever the light is being shined on us as a people. But the fact of the matter is, as we've seen, the doctors and the nurses and the delivery people and all those people that don't necessarily get the shine that they would normally get are the ones that we're relying on in this epidemic that we're seeing at the moment. So that's my gripe with labels. I don't think one's more meaningful than the other. It definitely depends on the perspective that it's being looked upon, which is why I agree with you, Mace. It goes on to mention on page 92, if you want to learn how to turn your passion into your mission, the fastest, most efficient way to emulate someone already doing it is called modeling. Is there anyone you model from or would like to?
I think I model quite frequently. I think I'm an individual, every day without fail, I'm watching things on YouTube. I do things of that nature quite frequently, whether it's watching things on YouTube, going over notes, studying. I do a lot now, even on IG. I study a lot of people who are doing things on IG, not necessarily on IG, but have platforms and bigger platforms, and I model what they're doing and how I can incorporate it in my life. I mean, I maintain my personality and my characteristics, but I do a lot of modeling, yeah.
I don't actually. Or I'm influenced by a lot of things, or I'm not even necessarily influenced. I mean, like yourself, P, I'm also on YouTube quite a lot, just looking at things, but I don't know if I actually model myself against anyone. I probably don't, to be fair, which is probably not a bad thing, but I suppose if I wanted to grow and develop as a person, I probably should. There's various things I watch, like even we were speaking earlier, P, about the Joe Rogan and Kevin Hart podcast, or interview that Joe Rogan done with Kevin Hart. And like just hearing what Kevin Hart, like the influence, the way he's able to his positivity almost like shines through in a room. Like it's almost like, and I think they speak about in the book, where someone who's positive, their positive nature almost, they can bring people around them to become positive and almost strive to achieve more. It's that kind of thing. But I don't have a particular name I could bring up and say, yeah, I model myself on that person and strive towards being like that person. Yeah.
It's funny you should mention Kevin Hart, because I wouldn't say I actively model myself on Kevin Hart, but he's an influence that I would use in terms of his positivity, how he's gone about business, his inspiration, like his aspirations and what he's trying to do within the business world. Jay-Z, Sean Carter is another person that I wouldn't say I specifically model myself upon, but I take and watch their moves and I look to see how they conduct themselves and their viewpoints and how they come to their decisions. So yeah, I guess similar to you both, I watch YouTube clips and I read books, and there's people that I think that I would like to emulate or do something similar, but be myself at the end of the day, because I'm an individual. I don't want to copy someone, but I would definitely take and model some of their movements or how they've gone about getting their mindset to where they need it to be. So I can't say that I have modeled per se, like literally in the essence of modeling myself on someone, but I consider all these people that I've just mentioned as mentors of mine in some aspect.